This learning is Le'ili Nishmas, Bruya Bas Chananya, Mesach Sheviis, Perek Gimel, Mishnayos. In this Mishnah, we're going to learn about malachas that are usher to do, but not because they're usher to do on Sheviis, but rather because of the Maras Ayin, that it looks like the person is doing it in order to prepare to do other work on Sheviis. Ein Beinin Madreges al Pi Hageis, Erev Sheviis, Mishaposku Hakshamim. In the year before Sheviis, in the 6th year, after the rain stopped falling, a person is not allowed to build steps down into deep areas where water has collected, like a ravine, in order that they should be able to go down and bring that water up. And the reason for this is, it looks like the person is doing this in order to be able to do work in the next year on Sheviis in their field. Because now that it's after the rainy season of the 6th year, that means the water is no longer needed. And so it looks like the person is making the steps in order that they could go down there and collect the water in the following year on Sheviis and do work in their field on Sheviis. The Mishnah continues, however, the person is allowed to build these steps on the year of Sheviis itself, after the rainy season, and the reason for this is because it looks like the person is preparing it in order to get the water for the year following Sheviis. So this malacha itself is not a problem. There's no issue to build steps on Sheviis. The question is, does it look like the person is doing this in order to do work on Sheviis? The Mishnah continues and teaches about the areas where the water has collected, and it says that even though a person is allowed to make steps on the year of Sheviis to go down to these areas, however, so even though on Sheviis a person is allowed to make steps to go down to these areas where the water has collected, however on Sheviis they're not allowed to build like a dam around the water and strengthen it with earth, because then it looks like they actually want to use the water on Sheviis itself. However, a person is allowed to build around it if it's not so secure that it's also using earth. If they're just using stones without adding the earth to it, then they're allowed to do this around the area with the water. And the Mishnah concludes that when the person is doing these works that are permitted on Sheviis, so even though usually a person is not allowed to remove stones from their field, because it looks like they're preparing their field in order to work on Sheviis, but nevertheless, when you're doing this work, it looks like the person is taking the stones to build the steps or the dam, and therefore, Kol Evan Shehu Yachal Lifshit Esyade Velitla, any stone in the person's field that the person is able to reach while doing this work, so the halacha is Harezu Tinatol, the person is allowed to take that stone.